The following original on-demand content was originally aired exclusively on Radio Memphis.
That's a little Stuart Allen Thomas for you right here on Radio Memphis. You're tuned into Radio Memphis Around the World with me, Dirty D. That was Detonator out of Santa Cruz, California. And you guys know, man, I love me some Stuart Allen Thomas. Awesome guitar player. He's got his own recording studio, does a lot of music, does a lot of, background stuff and scores and things, trying to come up with a super group band, and that was the guy, remember I was telling you, he was one of the original guitarists that was actually considered, believe it or not, for Testament, when Testament first was going to be an idea. He turned it down so that he can actually follow his own dream. And so we enjoy the hell out of playing some Stuart. And of course, you guys, I started out the show a little heavy, a little rockin', a little guitar heavy, and I did that on purpose. I am so excited because I was telling you about this particular individual, a lovely lady by the name of Lisa Johnson, and you guys probably know her better as 108 Rockstar Guitars. This is an incredible book that has been out where this particular author and photographer has taken her life work of capturing the actual pictures of famous guitar players' axes, which I think is just a brilliant idea, and and it has gotten a lot of legwork with this. It's an award-winning book, and according to Guitar World, readers do get it up close and personal with the impressive assembly of 108 guitars. She's gotten a lot of feedback from the guys that she was able to work with and take pictures of their guitars. According to Slash, Lisa's photos are top-notch. Truly honored to be in the company of such iconic artists. She was able to do stuff with Robbie Krieger of The Doors, and he decided that book was more, was a work of art in and of itself. She was actually able to do some stuff with Steve Lukather, which I think is fantastic. A gorgeous book of photos, according to him. I'm honored to be in with so many of my heroes and my friends. She has done so many different stuff. She even does stuff with Roger Waters. Man, check that out, right? Pink Floyd, The Wall, the whole deal. I have a treat for you. I happen to have her on the phone, and she's got some very, very cool stories, and I love the fact, this is around the world, but I love the fact that her story and her journey with this idea literally started in Memphis. So let me pull her on the phone and see what she's got going on. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Lisa, how are you, honey?
Hey, Dirty D, how you doing?
I'm good, baby. What do you got going on, sister?
You know what? Right now, I'm sitting in my car in Malibu watching the waves roll in, and it's just a beautiful Saturday morning, and I'm happy to chill here with you for a while in Memphis.
You just painted this whole really cool picture, and right now I hate my job. What in the hell? That is fantastic. Thank you so much, honey, for checking in with me and being able to talk. I have been, whether you realize this or not, I've been following you for quite some time, especially with your book, 108 Rockstar Guitars. And I have been just so enamored and just so mesmerized by some of the cool stories, not only of the pictures that you've been able to take and some of the artists and stuff that you've been able to meet up with and forge relationships with, but, just your story, and how you came up with this whole idea. You've been doing this for 17 years?
Yeah, about 17 now. Well, it's probably about 19 now because it took about 17 to by the time the book actually, hit the market, it was 17 years, and then that was 2 years ago. So I've been continuing to shoot ever since then. I haven't stopped.
Right.
Even through all the book launching stuff. And in fact, I just finished photographing Alex Skolnick's guitar, who did become Testament's guitar player. And,
fantastic.
Yeah, so that was cool that you played that track. And he's such an awesome guy. I met up with him on the recent Axes and Anchors cruise out of Miami that I was on, and photographed a super cool Washburn guitar that's black with a silver burst on it, and it's just gorgeous.
See, that sounds sexy.
Yeah, continuing the movement for sure.
That is fantastic. And what's really cool, and of course you and I, we got to kind of chit chat and exchange some messages and stuff, right beforehand. This whole idea for you, I mean, obviously you started out, you did photography, you went to college, I do know that you wound up forging a relationship with Kodak, and kind of fell into it, but your story, which was so impressive to me, was that it literally did start in Memphis when you started taking these pictures.
It really did. Yeah, Memphis was my first real territory out of Eastman Kodak. Of course, I'd gone up to Rochester for training, and I'd been given a temporary assignment in New Jersey, and then Memphis was it. And I went there, and at the time, I used to go to the Unity Church, and the guitar player at church was Hank Sable.
Oh, wow.
And Hank Sable was the partner of Rod Norwood of Rod and Hank's Vintage Guitar Store.
That is right.
Memphis. And so my dad, who's a musician, all my life grew up telling me I was not allowed to date musicians. So I called up Dad, and I'm like, well, Dad, I'm dating a musician.
Of course.
However, he does own a vintage guitar store, and he is the guitar player at church, and Dad's, well, that's totally different.
That's
He's not
okay.
a touring musician, and he owns a vintage guitar store. That's great. And so they actually ended up becoming friends, and in that conversation with Dad, he said, if he ever gets in a Gibson mandolin, let me know.
See?
And now, literally 2 weeks later, Hank gets in this mint condition Gibson mandolin, 1917 A4.
Oh, nice.
And I said, how much? I want to get that for my dad as a present. And he said, well, you can't afford it, but if you photograph some guitars for me that I have to sell and I don't want to sell, I'll trade you. So it was like, done deal.
No doubt.
So I photographed these guitars for him, and it was at that time that I just fell in love with my photography for the first time, and really felt like I wanted to share my images. Wow. And he let me come in and take any guitar I wanted home, and I would shoot them and study them and work with the imagery. And then the next thing I knew, Kodak was transferring me to New York City. And I thought, well, you know, every guitarist comes through this town. I may as well I'd love to do a book. I want to keep photographing guitars. And Les Paul played every Monday night at the Iridium Room. So I went down there to see if I could photograph Les's guitar. I mean, what a better place to start?
No doubt, with him. Absolutely.
And he said yes, and 12 years later, he wrote the foreword for this book. So
that is fantastic.
It's been pretty blessed.
That is amazing, sure. And I did see where you developed, quite the relationship with Les. And of course, again, you just mentioned, he did the foreword for the book and everything, and and working with him, what you also did, which I thought was pretty amazing and pretty incredible, is that some of the proceeds from this book actually go to the Les Paul Foundation.
Oh, yeah. 10% of all proceeds benefit the Les Paul Foundation. And, by the way, right now, the Les Paul Foundation is trying to get the U.S. Postal Office to do a commemorative stamp of Les Paul. And, we all know he deserves that honor.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Of course he does.
So if anybody's interested and wants to help get Les Paul on a stamp, you can go to my Facebook page, and I've posted it there, and you can sign the petition. It's change.org. You probably can go to change.org and do a search for Les Paul, and it'll come up.
Wow.
So we got to get Les on a stamp, don't you think?
I think he belongs on a stamp. I think he's long overdue for a stamp.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
He is.
No, but you go to New York, and then and instantly, you start having these opportunities that kind of open up, and you start taking pictures, of people's guitars. Now, look, I know you started, the way you started, as far as photography and the opportunity now that you've explained to everybody. And for those of you who've tuned in, I'm talking to Lisa Johnson, 108 Rockstar Guitars, trying to climb into her brain and how she got where she's at this moment. You show up and you're like, okay, I want to take a picture of your guitar, man. It's I mean, which I think is great. It's like, here's Slash standing in front of you. It's like, yeah, no, dude, see, I don't need you. I need your axe.
Yeah, well, it's funny. When I photographed Slash's guitar the first time, I did 2 different sessions with his guitars. At the first time, it was in Toronto, because he was playing the national anthem for the opening season of the Boston Red Sox and Toronto Blue Jays.
Right. And
so I flew over to Toronto. My sister lives there, so, and I have friends there. So after I did the shoot, his guitar tech, Adam Day, at the time, he said, you want to meet Slash? I said, sure. So we went out he was sound checking out in the middle of the field. And I get out there, and he goes, oh, hey, you're Lisa. You photographed my guitar today. He goes, that's so cool. Everyone wants to photograph me, and you just want the guitar.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, I mean, everybody photographs you. Everyone photographs the artists with the guitars and with them performing. And artists don't get that up-close, personal, intimate view of their guitars, the headstocks, the back of the guitars. And really, the imagery, my whole mission is to hone in on the details, the wear and tear, the things that guitarists do and add to their guitars or leave behind on their guitars from many years of play. And it really, to me, portrays the soul of the guitar and of the artist as well in a completely different way that's never been done before.
And the way you talk, it's so amazing. You know, it's this really weird, eerie, cool, crazy cool thing that it's like you developed a relationship with these guitars. You know, and the way you talk about it, and the way you talk about, you know, what you're trying to capture, and the way what you're trying to portray, and you know, and that right there to me is total love for what you do.
Well, you do. I mean, you open up the cases, and you can smell the guitar first of all.
Wow.
And you look at the wood. You depending on what the artist has done to the guitar, how old the guitar may be, or how much wear and tear is on it. The guitar just has a stories to tell, and when you light them up and start photographing them, and you're hovering over this guitar, and you can hear the music that's been played on that guitar in your head, or sometimes you're at sound check and they're playing music. It's just a rush, man. It's nirvana for me. I'm out of space and time when I'm shooting. It's a great feeling.
That is
to do
fantastic.
It's kind of addicting, actually.
Well, and that's what's so cool. And again, and that's what I think. I think the most part of what I liked so much about when I was really, really researching and figuring out what was going on with this book and what was going on, with what you had going on. It was, I keep going back to, you're meeting all of these crazy, cool, incredible people that people are like, oh, I'd love to get a picture with them. And you're like, yeah, man, I want to see your guitar, and I want to sit there and have I want to have a session, and I want to, make an appointment, and I want to, and treating this inanimate object as if it had a soul. And it was one of those, this has got more of a story.
Well, yeah, too, and the guitarists, they love their guitars.
Of course they do.
They name them. A lot of them name them. They have these intimate relationships with their guitars, like Steve Vai. He's written extensively about his guitars, especially Evo, his number one that's in my book, and these guitars go through thick and thin with the artists. They pour their souls out on these guitars with the songs that they write, the music they write, and it's just, cosmic. It really is a cosmic thing. I mean, music is cosmic, isn't it? I mean, it takes us
fantastic,
to
yeah.
other places and brings us back to places that we've been. So that's why I called my book 108 Rockstar Guitars, because I'm a yogi, and the number 108 is a cosmic number in yoga philosophy, and so I wanted to infuse that cosmic-ness into what's cosmic music, cosmic guitars.
Absolutely, and that's the way it works. And I was looking at, I looked at the whole list, of everybody that you've gotten to, as far as work with and their guitars. And what's really cool about what you've got going on is that there's so many different styles of music, and genres too. It's just really dependent upon as far as what artist. Now, was there an actual plan on who you were going to work with, or was this just by happenstance and chance?
It's been a very organic process. Of course, I grew up listening to all genres of music. My parents, my dad was into country, my mom into country, bluegrass, and then they got into the Beatles and Bob Dylan and stuff like that in the 60s. And of course, I had siblings, and they started listening to classic rock. And my friends, my age group was, Kiss and Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Van Halen, AC/DC. So I got all the genres, and so of course I gravitated toward the classic rock guitarist, and I ended up living in Las Vegas, and every band comes through Vegas, whether in all those genres.
Right.
So, I just would start requesting the bands that I grew up listening to that I loved. I mean, I always knew who the guitar players were. All my girlfriends, they were all in love with the lead singers, and I was always in love with the guitar.
Right. So that was my thing. That and the drummer. Well, that and the drummer. The lead singer and the bass player. As far as now, okay, look, favorite drummer is Neil Peart. I mean, period, hands down, period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. And he's Canadian too, by the way. So
I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. He was the first reason, why my brother and I, actually picked up a pair of drumsticks. So it was one.
Oh, so you play?
I try to. Don't ask me to. It was one of those my brother kind of rolled on. I actually went the route of singing, but when it comes to drums and things like that, I've always, even the old school as far as big band and things like that. I mean, I've growing up. Always, if I get in front of set up, some drums, I'm like, check out the maple, check out the wood, check out the grains. Do you hear that sound? Do you hear that? Do you hear that tone? Do you understand? And so I, as far as being in love with an actual instrument, as if it was another person, I totally get it. Totally get it. And the majority of people that I grew up with, as far as the music and bands and stuff like that, a lot of guitar players, and and it's the semblance of the relationships that they have with their instrument, and you perfectly described it, and to understand what each one individually had to do and what each one individually meant and what each one, individually, was going to, put out, and it was a special marriage between that person and that particular guitar or that particular drum set, if you want to go that route. But really, it's more so guitars, because there's such a, your hands are all over the damn body. Let's go ahead and throw it out there. I'm gonna throw the statement out there. Your hands are all over it, and it's one of those things where you have to feel like it's a part of you, and so with that being said, you get these opportunities, and so how is it that you first get started and you start throwing out these requests? Are they all immediately received and like, hell yeah, let's do this, or has there been some that step back and go, what?
It's a process. a lot of it is a process. Of course, when I started this, it was all phone and fax, and so I used to fax requests sometimes, or you just had to pick up the phone and call.
Right.
Record labels and management companies, and ferret out how to find out who the management company was and stuff like that. So it was a lot of getting on the phone and faxing, and then emailing came along. I used to FedEx stuff, FedEx pictures that they could see my other work, and then email, really flourished. I mean, can you believe it's like we can't live without email now, but really, I mean, emails really started in like 97, 98 time frame.
Right.
And then it was like after that, then I could send a tear sheet of my work and people could see it. And so slowly people would say yes, but they all didn't say yes. I mean, I probably requested Jeff Beck 4 times, ZZ Top probably 4 times. I requested AC/DC more times than anybody, and still I haven't been able to access their guitars.
Really?
And then some of them are easy. I mean, I requested Jimmy Page, and within a week it was like, yes from Jimmy. I was like, wow, that's fantastic.
And it came back that quick.
So as the roster grew and the names, the list of names grew, it became easier and easier to get yeses.
Well, sure. Absolutely.
So, it just all depends who you're dealing with, really.
No, okay. There's got to be that you got that one yes, and you're like, oh my God, yes. There's got to be that one that you were like, holy shit.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, of course, Jimmy was one. I mean, Roger Waters was one. I was in fact, when I was shooting Jimmy Page's guitar, I was in England. Okay. I was kind of doing a little tour. I got a yes for Jimmy, so then I requested a bunch of other guitars, and I ended up going on this little tour of the UK, and I met up with Michael Schenker in Brighton, and I did a bunch of his Dean Flying V's, and then I went to Shoreham by the Sea and photographed Pearl Thompson's guitars. Then I went up to, I think it's North Bridgehampton or something, and went to KK Downing's estate there and photographed a ton of his Hamers. And then went to another place and photographed Brian Robbo Robertson's guitars from Thin Lizzy. And then back to London, shot Jimmy Page's. And in between all of that, I had put in a request for Roger Waters' bass because he was performing in Athens at that same time frame that I was in Europe.
No, what year? No, that was during the Wall.
I ended up flying to Athens, Greece, where he was doing the Wall, and showed up at sound check and photographed his bass directly underneath the wall right after sound check.
See, that cool. And I want to say, because I read in one of the articles, and I cannot remember if it was actually one of the ones that posted in Guitar World, if it was actually one of the other guitar magazines, because you were talking about that one instance with Roger Waters. Now that was when they were doing the Wall tour, because there was like a 2010, 11, 12, 2012, 13. I mean, so
yeah, I think it was 10. It was 9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got, and I remember in the article, because everybody was always talking about your experiences, with particular, players and, what came about. And, you literally said that, it was before Sound Check, and you were talking about, and anybody that ever got to go to any of those concerts. And of course you guys know about, about the documentary that just came out, this past year with Roger Waters, and you get to see, you actually got to see some of the stuff that happened with, during the Wall tour and how it was all put together. That was an insane production and setup. Anyway,
unbelievable.
And so,
unbelievable. I hope he does it again.
And so you're sitting here.
It's really one of the best shows on the planet. I just love Pink Floyd. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. In fact, I have a request in for David Gilmour right now because he's coming to L.A. in March. I'll go to the show.
Okay.
And I cannot wait. I never got to see Pink Floyd itself. I've seen Roger Waters 2 or 3 times, and now I'm going to see David Gilmour. And, as an aside, I just went on that Yes Cruise to the Edge as well in November.
Did you?
And it's all this prog rock cruise, and they had a band on there called Airbag. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Airbag.
I love me some prog rock, sister.
Unbelievable. These guys are like, if you're into Pink Floyd, you're going to love Airbag.
Okay.
They're, in my opinion, they obviously have been influenced by Pink Floyd. However, their material is still very original to themselves. It just has that flow and that Pink Floyd vibe. So, FYI, if you're looking for something new,
you know what,
ears,
right?
You might want to plug Airbag in.
That's why I called you. You rock. That is fantastic. No, that's cool. No, hell yeah.
And tonight I'm going to see Ace Frehley. He's in my book. His UFO air guitar is in my book, and I don't know if they're playing together or if one's opening for the other. Lita Ford is also on the bill tonight, and her guitars will be in my next book that's coming up in 2018.
Okay.
And she is one of the hottest. She's like the fucking best metal shredder.
She's
hot.
She's it.
There is on the planet, lead guitarist for the Runaways, and I'm just so stoked that her guitars are coming up in my next book, so I can't wait to see them tonight.
So like I said, with her guitars, you make sure you get that double neck. You understand? The BC
I got it, babe. I got it. You know that.
You make sure you get the right one, man. You know which one I'm talking about, too, man. Denim and leather to go with it. Whatever you got to do, backdrop and everything. Now, so and which also leads us to, again, all these incredible experiences and stuff. And, of course, now that it's so much easier, for you to be able to do these requests, because everybody is so enamored, and everybody's and literally even the guitarists themselves, along with the fans that come across the book, that everybody's fallen in love with such a great masterpiece of a book. I mean, was that something that did you really ultimately expect to have such a response?
I didn't know what I was going to get, honestly. I knew that I loved the work, and that was the number one thing that mattered, because as an artist, you can't care what other people think. When you start putting your material out there, which when I was very on the lowdown with this book and this material, because I didn't want anyone to copy my idea.
Well, sure.
There were already, there's a lot of well-established photographers out there. This was my debut, so to speak, and so I was pretty much on the lowdown about the work. So when it came out, I had a lot of people say, how come I never heard about you before?
Right.
And it was for that reason. Now people are, a lot of guitarists have the book, and, the word is out about it. And so it's kind of cool now. You'll send in requests, and they know about the book already. And so they're like, oh yeah, that's cool, because they're becoming part of a collection.
Well, yeah, they're part of
there's book 1 and book 2, and that one had the better guitarists in it than 2. No, book 2 has just as many amazing guitarists in it as 1 did, and ultimately they're becoming part of one huge collection of guitars, which, by the way, I could pretty confidently say that I'm probably the only person in the world that has photographed this many famous guitars, and the only woman. For sure.
See? Hashtag she rocks. There it is. There it is. That is fantastic. Girl, that just gave me goosebumps, man. You're awesome. Hell yeah. That'll work. That'll work. I mean, and what's even cooler about all of that, Lisa, is that, you know, it's like it's you're creating this collection, and so it's one of those things where it doesn't matter how many books. Okay, what matters is that I have to, you know, for these guitarists, you know, even as famous as they are, they're like, I have to be included as part of that collection. That's like the Cool Kids Club, and if I'm not part of that, I'm not the really true cool guitarist. So therefore, I need to be in this book. You know, that's kind of the vibe.
How come I wasn't in the first book? How come my guitars aren't in here? You know, I'm like, well, let's get them now, man. You know? Because like as you were asking earlier, like what was the process? And sometimes it's a matter of, you know, you meet people along the way, and they know so-and-so. And they, like, I went to photograph Daniel Ash's guitars from Love and Rockin'. And his guitars are unreal, and they will be featured in my next book. And when I was doing that shoot, the guy I was working with said, well, you know, you got to have Billy Duffy. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've actually requested Billy, and I never heard back.
Right.
And so he knew Billy really well, so he just texted him while I was there. And, you know, a week later, I'm shooting Billy's guitars, you know, his White Falcon Gretsch that everybody knows. So, like, that's organically kind of how it works.
And that's what's so cool about that, because, you know, I always, you know, and what we do as far as at Radio Memphis and stuff, and just so you know what we do, we play unsigned and indie artists. You know, and you know, our stuff is all over the place. We're in 140, 7+ countries. You know, cool music and, you know, that kind of stuff. And we support, you know, a lot of artists, you know, that are trying to make their break. You know, and we work with a lot of industry people. We work with a lot of, you know, groups and things like that, and management and stuff that always try to, you know, give some forethought and sight, you know, into musicians' careers and, you know, and things like that. And of course, you know, we're a cool radio.
That's awesome.
We're a cool radio station too. So I'm just gonna throw that out there too.
Of course you are, yeah.
But
it's cool that you do know the She Rocks crew, Laura Whitmore.
I do.
And her team. I mean, she's a woman who rocks.
She is.
And I love what she's doing with the She Rocks. And especially women in rock, you know, go to their website, sherocks.com, or the Women's International Music Network.
Absolutely.
And they're doing all kinds of cool things to support women in rock.
They are.
You're a woman in rock, which is Radio Memphis. And,
thank you.
You know, that's why I'm, like, especially honored to be on with you today. Because
thank you so much.
It's not, as always has been, so easy for women in rock. And Lita Ford writes about that in her book that she just dropped. If you don't know about it, she just dropped a book called Living Like a Runaway.
Yep.
And she talks about how, and she's got this one chapter entitled Lisa. So I went straight to it. I'm like, how come she's writing about Lisa? You know, my namesake. And it turns out her mom's name was nicknamed Lisa. And on the first paragraph of that chapter, she writes about how a metal magazine in L.A. back in the day would always put her on the cover, always with a big group of guys, never alone. And Lon Friend, for those of you who know veteran rock journalist Lon Friend, he had just left Hustler magazine at the time, and he became the editor of Rip magazine. And one of the first things he did was he put Lita Ford on the cover of Rip magazine alone in skin-tight leather, and because he had the vision, you know, he came from Hustler. He knew, you know, a beautiful woman, sexy, that really could shred, deserved to be on the cover of Rip magazine. I mean, he was way ahead of his time, and he really helped launch a lot of careers.
And that's the way it's.
I love Lon Friend.
That's the way it's supposed to be, you know. And you know, for us, I always, and it's really funny because when I talk to my staff members, and when I talk to, you know, artists, and I talk to bands, you know, or I talk to somebody that's doing some type of advertising or some type of, that we're working on some concept pieces and stuff, I always relate the story back to, like, it's like being in a band. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, this person's the lead singer, this person's the guitar player and stuff. And you know, the thing about you is that, you know, you took something, and, you know, that you absolutely, and this is what I appreciate so much about you, is that you took something that you absolutely love. You are truly in love. You found something that you were truly in love with, and you made it very magical. And you put such a pretty, awesome, cool, slick sheen on it, you know, and
Thank you.
You're very welcome. But and whenever and those that are even tuned in, and I mean, you got this book out. Yeah, you've got all, you've made all these relationships and stuff. And it was the thing I like to make sure everybody understands is like this wasn't easy. You know what I mean?
Oh no!
This wasn't like it's like because this book comes out. This happens even like with bands. It happens with actors. It happens with people of some notoriety. People will look back and go, "Well, that was just like an overnight success." They just got lucky and stuff. I'm like, "Oh my God, you just don't understand what happened."
Not. It was a massive undertaking, and it really comes from a place of passion and compassion because. This is like an independent project for me.
Sure.
I funded this. No one's paying me.
Sure.
I'm doing this as my own artistry and project. So, and books don't make money. It's not like I'm like out there, making tons of money on book sales. Mm-mm. That's not how it works. Books basically become a calling card for future opportunities.
Sure it does.
That's
sure
happening now because I'm so busy shooting. It's just, it's fantastic. So I feel so honored that somehow I've created this space for myself in the world to have the opportunities to photograph these amazing, iconic guitars that are going down in history. My first book got registered in the Smithsonian Institute Library.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Now, when your book first came out, your book actually won an award, did it not?
American Photo named it one of the best books in 2013.
Yep.
And Communication Arts awarded it the Silver Design Award, which is a very prestigious award. There's platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, and the book design won a silver award, which, it's really, the top competition is super stiff with communication art. So to win a silver was really quite an honor. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that is fantastic. And like I said, proof and fact, okay? And I relate you to like being in a band. If you are truly completely in love with what you do and you truly and completely support and back what you've got going on, and and again, it wasn't about making a book. It wasn't about making money. It wasn't about, throwing things out there. It was about, my God, I am so in love with this and I got to share it with people.
I just have to do it. I'm compelled to do it. I have to do it. And I thought when I did the first book, I thought, well, I'll get the first book done, and if something happens with it, great. And if nothing happens, well, then that's cool too, because I've had the time of my life doing this. And what's really happened is it's been a continuation of like just the opportunities to continue to shoot are there, and I just feel compelled to just keep going, even though I get really tired. I mean, I go out, I go see so many shows, and you're shooting and traveling, and it's kind of exhausting. And sometimes I think, man, I don't make money doing this, so what am I doing? And then at the end of the day, the next thing I know, I'm picking up the phone or I'm writing another email to do another request because I just feel like I just need to. I just got to keep going. I'm being driven to do it.
And
so
I'm going
to keep on until something happens and I'm not. I don't know.
Well, but look at all the cool things that you're getting into, and look at all the cool opportunities that have opened up. Because you do what you're doing. And it's... Yeah,
I mean, like right now, exhibitions are coming up. Next weekend, I'm doing a huge installation of my work at the NAMM Museum.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool. This is the first time my work is going into an actual museum.
Wow.
And it's so cool that it's the National Association of Music Merchants Museum, and they want to put it in there in time for their board of directors meeting in April. So they have one whole wall that's just bass guitars. I've been shooting a lot of basses as well.
Okay.
And then there's two walls of guitars. So right now I'm also, branching out into getting the work into galleries and exhibits, and that's another whole process in and of itself. And It's great to be able to show the work and, continue to do it that way. I'd love to go to Japan and do an exhibit there. And
oh my God,
I would love to come to Memphis. We should do something in Memphis. Do an exhibit there. I mean, we need
to do something. We need to figure out something, and we need to brainstorm something as far as for Memphis. And only because this is This started the yellow brick road for you. You know what I mean? This is
and
where
I'm going to be in Nashville. I'm coming for NAMM, the summer NAMM.
I am too. I think I am too.
I'll come to Memphis. Let's get together and see what we could do.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Because I know that I maybe actually be at NAMM too. You know, and I'm trying to work that deal out too. So between me going up there, you coming down here, I don't know, something's got to happen. You know,
yeah.
and absolutely. Are you kidding, man? We'll make that work. We'll definitely make that work. So you're in the middle of more shoots. You got more stuff. Now I heard you earlier. You said it. You pegged a date. You actually are going to be considering to have another book come out in 2018.
Yeah, 2018 is the target date right now.
Okay.
2018 because it's 1/8. 1 plus 8 totals 9. 108, if you total it in numerology, totals the number 9.
And 9 is a perfect number.
Symbolizes endings and beginnings, transformation. So I do everything that has to do with a 9. All of my launch book dates have been dates that total number 9. All of my exhibits, launch events have been on a date that totals number 9. So it just makes sense to have Volume 2 come out in 2018, which is a 9.
Perfect.
It's a cosmic, you know?
And any multiple of 9, if you actually add the numbers together and stuff, will always equal 9. So if there's a number that sums up and you're wondering,
correct.
You're right. No, not a problem.
Cool. That's cool. You know that.
I do know that. And of course, you know how, because we were on the phone earlier and you asked where I was from and, born in New York, yes, Memphis for a very long time. My mother, though, she's Thai. So I'm half Asian, and so there's okay. I understand.
Oh, okay.
I understand the whole number 9 thing, like to a T. To a complete T.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I journey through this and meet people. I love meeting the ones that are tapped into it, and one of them was also Kim Thale. His mom, he's half Indian from India.
Right.
And, so he knew all about the number 108 as well, and was giving me a numerical lesson when I was hanging out with him, shooting his guitars on it, and that was really cool. And then he turned me on to a band. I didn't even know. He goes, "Did you know there's a band called 108?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And so, if you're into some heavy metal shredding, like really deep heavy,
okay.
Tune into 108.
Okay, I could definitely do that because I also do a metal show on Monday nights. Yeah, Memphis Metal Mondays.
Oh, really?
And I do stuff around the world and stuff like that too. So so I'm kind of plugged in on that end too. Absolutely. Yeah,
cool.
we're gonna hook up. We're gonna hook up and we're gonna see what you've got going on, sister. I am thrilled. I am thrilled with your work, and again, it was one of those. This was me personally going. I just want to call her and just figure out what was going on here. This was amazing stuff. You had some very, very cool.
Well, I really appreciate it because being woman to woman, that is a cool element right there, and we're both really into music and different genres of music. I just love that you're in Memphis and you're playing metal and other genres as well, and. We women, we rock. We do. I feel the music. It's like, to me, hearing a guitar solo is the closest I can get to an orgasmic level.
There it is. Bam. There it is.
It's a feeling.
There
Music's
it is.
a feeling.
There it is.
And, it's a universal language. And what more? There's nothing more that I want to do or be is being around music or being creative. We all are creative, and I'm just feel grateful that I've found my creative outlet. You found your creative outlet in radio,
absolutely,
and being able to work with a bunch of different artists, and it's really euphoric, isn't it?
It is.
You're actually in the flow of what you're doing, what you love.
It is. It's a magical thing. What's magical is having an opportunity to, because of what we get to do here, we actually get to do more than just radio. We're a production facility. We're also, do you remember the Emmons building in Memphis? Do you remember, where Swanky's Tacos was? Do you remember,
I know where the Peabody is.
Okay, sister. Damn, it's been a minute for you. We're talking the Perkins Highland. The Perkins Poplar area. There's an old.
Okay. Oh, where the Acropolis thing was built at one time.
At one time, yes.
You're there.
And okay, so there's an old historic building. It's called the Emmons Building, and in the basement, there is a recording studio. Okay, that's what I'm sitting in at this moment in time.
Oh, cool.
It used to be Twilight Recording Studio. studios, way, we're talking, 50s, 60s, wound up being redone. At one point in time, it was Leeway Recording. A lot of records came out of here. This also used to be the place where Charlie Rich, the Silver Fox, this was his den. This is where he toured. This is where he...
Oh, there's so much history in Memphis. It's amazing. Music. Absolutely. I mean, they call it National Music City, but Memphis is also Music City, and man, I actually have been down there, back down there a few times. I went to the King Biscuit Blues Festival. Have you ever gone down there?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Arkansas.
That stuff rocks. That is a fantastic festival.
Unreal. So, I've already got a really good start on a blues book, a jazz book, a country book, because I've shot a lot of guitars in Nashville, and blues guitars, some in Memphis, and a lot of blues guitars I shot down in Louisiana and Mississippi, and like C. Del Davis, T. Model Ford, Precious Bryant, a lot of blues people never heard of, but everybody knows who they are down there, and
well, I need to hook you up.
Recognized. You should see some of these guitar pictures.
Yeah, I need to hook you up with the owner and creator of Pirate Radio Studios and Radio Memphis, because he also, Rick Cheddar, he also does the blues show. We have a lot of those cats, that roll through here, on Sunday nights. We got Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers. He comes and sits in. But we get we get a lot of those guys that come in with their guitars and stuff like that. And hook up. My God. The opportunity, though, for us is that because we get so involved with them, not just through radio, but through other outlets and stuff too, and we're going to be doing a recording and stuff at some point in time here in the next, probably it's going to be gearing up here in the next couple of weeks. My thing is that, and my thing is that, I just heard something, and I'm the first one to really know that this is going to be, magic. Or, I know that this is going, the planet is going to fall in love with this. Or I know that if they have that one chance, this is going to be, the next Elvis Presley. Or this is going to be, the next Janis Joplin. Or this is going to be, the next Joe Satriani. Or this is going to be the next Steve. You know what I mean? And when I hear all of these things, because, you know how Memphis is. Memphis is the Mecca. Everybody, I don't care where you're from. If you ever talk to anybody who's serious as far as being an artist, I mean, the first thing that they do is they're like, you say the word Memphis, and I mean, oh my God, it's like rock star lights light up in their head. And this is one of those crazy weird towns. It's not LA, it's not New York, it's not, Austin, or, this is where the blues is. This is where things are dirty. This is where things are hard. This is where things, people, struggle. And at the same time, this is where this weird, cool, crazy sound comes from. And everybody wants to get it on them. And so for us, we get to, and it's not even just artists from Memphis and the Mid-South. We're in the middle of Around the World. This is the Radio Memphis Around the World show. I play people from all over the place, all genres on this particular deal. I get to hear music and I'm like, my God, does anybody know you exist? Or I get to work with some, artists and stuff that are very well known and doing a very, very fantastic job, and that are wanting to share experiences and share stuff. And it's one of those things where, this is our opportunity to help music continue and help industry continue and help things upright and help things get back to what they need to do. And so for me it's the same thing. It's one of those I can't think of not doing anything else right now.
Hey, I mean, it's great because you're in service. You're being in service by helping people get airplay.
Absolutely.
And be heard.
Absolutely.
And it's their souls that they're compelled to do this music, and so you're a channel. I'm a channel. You're getting them airwaves, and I'm putting them in books.
Yep.
To keep it going. I mean, we're all in service to each other that way, and that's a beautiful thing. Because all the issues that we've got on this planet, it's sometimes I have days where I'm really overwhelmed with what's going on, and you just think, man, what's going to happen in the next 50 years? And I just, as a yogi, I just have to go back to what I can do is I can improve myself. I can through my actions, can teach others and to be in service as best as I can. And this is what I'm doing, to be in service. And you are too, and that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
On this planet, to be in service others. So that's really cool.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing so much time with me today. and sharing everybody what you have going on. I love what you do. I love your pictures. I love the fact that what they mean to you, and I think that's more than anything else, because it's not like there's a ton of photographers or there's a ton of authors or there's a ton of people just trying to put it together a book. I mean, but you have a lot of thought and you have a lot of heart and you have a lot of process behind what you've got going on, and that's why all of these guys that are so honored, to have their stuff, featured in your book. They know what it means.
It's really, really cool. I mean, I sent a copy of the deluxe edition of the book to all the artists that were in it, 108 of them, and it was a couple weeks ago. I was driving to Las Vegas, and my phone rang, and I couldn't get the phone. But anyway, it was Dean DeLeo from the Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, nice.
And he left me a message, and he goes, "Hey, Lisa, I just had to call you. I finally just got the book that you sent to me 2 years ago, and I'm just looking at it now for the first time, and it is amazing. Thank you so much for putting my guitar in your book." Actually, I put 3 of his guitars in, and so I mean that was gratifying.
Yeah, it was.
It was so gratifying that to hear that from him, that he picked up the phone and personally called me to say so. And it's those moments that just make it all worthwhile, make it a rush. That made a difference to him.
Good.
He appreciated it, and so makes me feel good.
That is fantastic. If anybody is interested, and they're interested in getting a copy, and they're interested to knowing what you've got going on and following you and all of that, where can everybody find you?
Go to www.108rockstarguitars.com. Or you can just Google Lisa S. Johnson, or you can Google Lisa S. Johnson and your favorite guitarist name, and boom, their guitar pictures will come up.
That's amazing. It doesn't get any easier than that, man. 108 Rockstar Guitars, and then there.
And if you want to buy the book, you can it's easy to go to Amazon.com, and the soft cover is available there. The hardcover's sold out right now. You can only get it through third-party merchants. It's tough to find the hardcover these days.
Wow.
So, we only made 2,500 copies. It's a really beautiful leatherette-bound book, and it was worth way more than $108, and these third-party merchants are selling it for more than that.
Wow.
But the soft cover is just as beautiful. It's the same number of pages. They did the same treatment on the pages, so it's gorgeous. And it's affordable. It's $37 right now on Amazon.
Right.
And, so you can pick up a copy there if you want it.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, sister, you've got my information. You got my email, of course, my numbers and stuff like that. You and I are going to keep in touch.
Yeah.
We're going to keep in touch. We're going to hang out. And I need you to. I need you to come down to the studio at some point in time, and that way you can have some fun here too.
Absolutely. Well, I'll keep you posted on my NAMM plans.
Okay.
I'm planning to come, and I'm actually thinking of coming to down for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I can do some shoots while I'm there. So
okay.
I may. So we'll be in touch, and we'll make a plan, and maybe we'll even do something. We could maybe even do an exhibit or something around those dates, or I'll come and see you, and we can figure something out for Memphis while we're together.
Yeah.
For later in the year, next year,
man, whatever.
We will love to keep it rolling.
Are you kidding, man? We got this. We got this. All right, sister. I know that you've got a busy afternoon. You mentioned you've got some things that you're going to be getting into. Thank you, Lisa, so much for spending time with me here on Radio Memphis. Man, you are a gem.
Thank you, sister. Really appreciate it too.
You rock. All right.
We'll be in touch. You have a great Saturday, everybody.
Okay, honey, we'll talk.
Okay, keep rocking.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Miss Lisa S. Johnson, 108 Rockstar Guitars. What a cool chick, man. Hashtag she rocks. Absolutely. And again, go check out the stuff, man. Go check out the book. Go check out the stories that come along with that. And, the main reason that I really, really wanted to talk to her, was so that everybody understood. And this is the idea that I got, was that how much she was in love with her work, and that is the key element. That's the magic. That is, everybody wants to know what the magic is, to make something work. Where whether or not bands, are able to go forward, whether or not people are making, rock star music, whether or not anybody's going to be able to, make a, a cool, presentation, whatever it is. You always want to know what the secret ingredient is. she just told you. So thanks again so much, Miss Lisa Johnson, for spending time with us right here on Radio Memphis Around the World. 108 Rockstar Guitars, man. Check her out right here. All right. I need to play one or two songs because speaking of, we mentioned Women's International Music Network. Well, you guys know what happens. 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every Saturday, we have a artist spotlight. Yes, right. We got Miss Alex English coming up. So let me play one or two songs, then we're going to get right into that. You're tuned in to Radio Memphis Around the World with me, Dirty D.
The preceding aired live on Radio Memphis. For more original on-demand content, visit radio-memphis.com.